Hello, hello. Welcome. I'm Maya from Nextwork, and today we're going to do a project on where we'll create an Aurora database and connect it to our EC2 instance. If you're completely new to Nextwork, check out the project link below so that you can follow along with me. We'll go through the project step by step, and at the end of the project, you will get a beautiful personalized documentation with all your learnings and all the steps that you've taken to do this project. So, super excited. If you are joining live with me, drop a note, tell me where you're from, and ask any questions that you have, and I'm so excited to go through this project with you. Let's get started. A quick introduction, quick summary of the project that we're doing. We're going to connect a database onto an EC2 instance, which is, think of it like, which is basically a virtual web server. And although in this particular project, we're not going to do the whole database and EC2 connection, EC2 instance deployment, we're going to set both things up and ready for our next project. So follow along with me for that too. Here we're just going to focus on creating an Aurora database, which is a relational database. If you followed along with me in the last project, you'll know that the relational database is basically like a table with rows and columns where you can store data. And we're going to be creating that Amazon Aurora database and connecting it with our EC2 instance so that we can host our very own web application in the next project. Here's a quick nice little diagram to give you a visual idea of what we're doing today. And if, again, you're new to Nextwork, do look at the link in the description and follow along with me. At Nextwork, we have projects that allow you to complete the project in different ways. You can go with very less guidance with the on your own option, or like today, we're going to go step by step and walk through the whole project. I'd really like to remind you, if you don't know already, that AWS can be tricky sometimes with the costs. So you'll be, if you haven't already, create an AWS account. The link is in the description below on how to do that. So if you need to pause and join back, feel free to do that. When you set up an AWS account, sometimes depending on the services that you use, you might get charged if you don't delete it on time. So in this project, as long as we complete it without too many breaks, within 1 hour, it should be perfectly fine. So make sure that by the end of the project, delete your resources. And if you have any questions at any point during the project, if you're not joining live, do ask the community. We've got a great support system there. You can ask anything about your charges to the project, to career, or just drop in and say hi. All right, so throughout the project, we'll have little questions to answer, and these are the answers that are going to be a part of that cool, beautiful documentation that you get at the end. So let's go through the whole project together, shall we? So first question, what are we here to do today? Well, in this project, I will demonstrate how to create an Amazon Aurora database and connect it with an EC2 instance. I'm doing this project to learn how to create the database and connect it to an EC2 instance so that I can host a web app in the future. Okay, I like that answer. You can write as detailed as you'd like, as less as you'd like, and if you're a pro, you can always edit and come back to it. Okay, we're gonna start with a little quiz, a little pre-project quiz. No drama on if you don't know anything. You know, it just is a good baseline of where you're at and what you're here to learn. So let's do this together. Again, if you are joining with me live, please do answer those questions. I do see that we've got a couple of folks joining. So glad to see you all. But yes, let's answer these questions in the quiz together, shall we? Okay, first question. Why is an EC2 instance needed when creating an Aurora database for a web application? A, to manage relational databases. B, to host a web application server. C, to execute serverless functions. Or D, to store static website content. Tricky if you're starting completely new, right? But I'm open to any guesses that you all have. Let's see. Let me really quickly check who's here. Evelyn, thank you for joining from Orlando. We've got Vivek Kumar joining from Dallas. Amazing. This is probably going to take no more than 1 hour, I assume, depending on how the project goes, but it's meant to be pretty easy. And we've got BP. Oh, hi BP, where are you joining from? BP has an answer to the quiz. BP says B, to host a web application server. Good clue, because that's what we want to do as a big picture, right? Let's check it out. Yeah, B is correct. EC2 instances provide virtual computing resources in the cloud, which is essential for running web applications. So, good answer. Nicely done. Let's go to the next question. What is the primary purpose of creating a key pair when launching an EC2 instance? Ooh, so many things in there. What's a key pair? Well, we know an EC2 instance now, but A, to configure network settings for the EC2 instance. B, to securely log into your EC2 instance. C, to select the operating system for the EC2 instance. Or D, to create a virtual private cloud for the EC2 instance. Oh my goodness. Interesting question. What are the answers that we have? Let's see, we've got Review and Fun joining in. Excellent. I'm so glad that you're here to review and provide some fun. Please let me know what you think of the answer. BP is joining from Tennessee, I think. B or C? Oh, I see. Brandon, is that your name? Is that what you'd like to go by? Thank you. B or C? Okay, so let's figure this out. So the primary purpose of creating a key pair, right? Either to securely log in to your EC2 instance or to create a virtual private cloud for the EC2 instance? Well, we can take a guess and see how it goes. And let's key pair, meaning I think maybe you're thinking in terms of authenticating a key, security. You know, if you're thinking that way, let's try B. And yeah, B is correct. Key pairs are used for securely logging into your EC2 instance. So good guess, BP. When you think about key pair, you also tend to think about like logging in, getting into something, entering something, right? So that's a nice way of deducing. All right, question number 3. In what scenario is AWS Aurora a good choice for a relational database? Okay, again, no harm if you don't know the answer. A, when you need a simple database for a small personal project. B, when you need a large-scale database with peak performance and high uptime. C, when you have data that is frequently accessed, that is infrequently accessed. Or D, when you are just starting to learn about databases. What do you think? Let's see. So AWS Aurora, is it for small projects or data that you don't really use, or you're just starting to learn and kind of understand databases, or when you have a really large scale database that you're trying to set up? Any guesses? Vivek Kumar says B. Yeah, I'm gonna go with B. Let's try it. Ready? B is correct. B is correct. Aurora is designed for large-scale applications, needing high performance and uptime, making it suitable for demanding workloads. So this is something that you might need if you are working in a large company and you need to store a lot of data, and Aurora is a good option for you in those situations, right? If you're making a small personal project, you probably won't need Aurora. And we'll find out and we'll learn more about Aurora. Question number 4. Let's go. Why is it recommended to use IAM users instead of the root user in AWS? Okay. A, to avoid using the root user for everyday tasks, enhancing security. B, to grant full administrative access to multiple users. Okay. C, to reduce AWS costs by limiting user permissions. Or D, to bypass AWS security measures for easier access. Ooh, interesting. Any guesses on this? So I see that BP says A. Evelyn says A. Okay, we've got majority here. Let's go with A. Excellent. A is correct. A, IAM users are used to avoid the using the root user, and it's just considered best practice always when you're using AWS to do everyday tasks to protect the root user from security breaches. So if anything goes wrong, you know what's going on and why, right? So yeah, IAM users, we need those. Question number 5. Why does an Aurora database use clusters with writer and reader instances? Oh my goodness, what a question. Okay, let's see. A, to separate read and write operations for better performance and redundancy. B, to comply with data residency regulations. C, to encrypt data at rest and in transit. Or D, to reduce storage costs by distributing data across multiple instances. Very interesting, right? Yeah, I see a lot of A's. Oh, we've got A. Okay, I think we have a winner. Let's try A. And yeah, it's kind of straightforward, right? If you have database clusters with writer and reader instances, it's probably to separate those two operations. So the writer instances would perform write operations, and read instances would perform the read operations. Yeah, and we'll talk more about it in this project, but this one was just before even starting the project, and y'all mastered it. Look at that, 5 on 5. Amazing. Again, if you're new to Next Work projects and you're just joining in, do say hi. Let me know if you're new, and we have these cool quizzes that you can do at least once, and if you're pro, you can keep doing it again and again, and you'll get a new quiz every single time. Right? Okay, amazing. Now that we've learned all these things just in the quiz alone, let's go through step by step and actually get our hands on into the project. So first thing, as we know, as we've just covered in the quiz, we do want an IAM user. And an IAM user is considered best practice. It's basically a user that can do certain things on AWS, and we can always give an IAM user the access that we want the IAM users to have. So if we have multiple people in a team that should have somewhat administrative access, you can create multiple IAM users, right? So let's fill out this question. What are we doing in this step? In this step, I will either create an IAM user or make sure I have an IAM user, create or make sure that I have an IAM user, because I want to securely manage the ways in which I access and use AWS resources. Right? Amazing. Yeah, so if you have an IAM user, we can just move on to the next step. Or if you need to create one, there are all the steps here for you to follow through with screenshots. And if you need to create the IAM user right now, feel free to just pause and follow along right after you've created the IAM user. What I'm going to do is I will have this project guide on one side. I've got my AWS on the other side, which is why Nextwork is so nice. It's the projects are very nicely designed so that you can do both side to side. And what we'll do, I'm already logged in, as you can see, in my IAM admin. So make sure that you're using the IAM admin user for this project. And let's go. Ready? Okay. So now we're going to get right into it. Let's create our Aurora database and create it to our web app. We're going to do this completely from scratch. And hey, did you know that at any point in the Nextwork project, you can actually select text and ask any question that you have about the project? Like, what is a relational database, right? You can even highlight, you can add notes, really have fun with the project as you work along with me. So let's recap what relational databases are. Think of when you hear the term relational, think of it as, relating things. So the rows and columns, they relate to each other, right? Like when you think of Excel spreadsheets or tables, you've got rows and columns, and they're kind of related. And so let's say, you know what, this explanation is just not cutting it for me. I would like an example. Who uses relational databases? Come on, Network project, tell me more, right? And so you can always use the ask feature to either get more examples, more clarification, or simplify it. So here, look at that. Coca-Cola and American Express uses relational databases to manage their supply chain, to manage their customers, all kinds of things. And it is like I mentioned, Aurora is meant for large scale, big databases, big, large amounts of data. So these are the big companies that are using Aurora and using relational databases. How is it different from a normal database? Well, we have relational databases and we have non-relational databases, and it's hard to say what's normal and what's not. There's no such thing as normal per se, but relational databases are just used as, tables. So maybe when we think about relational databases, we think about the tables and the charts that we come up with, right? But yeah, we're going to learn more about non-relational databases too. So keep on learning with Network, and you'll know all about databases by the end of it. Okay, so let's answer this question. What is a relational database? A relational database is a type of database that organizes data into tables, like with rows and columns. It's called relational because of how the rows relate to the columns. All right. Nice. All right, let's keep going. Okay. Nice to see a lot of chatter happening. So good to see everyone joining live. Okay, so let's check the region. So why region is important is when we have multiple services on AWS and we're using all kinds of different things, we want to make sure that we're all of them are in the same location. So everything is virtual, right? All of this is like we're creating EC2 instances and databases on the cloud. So we want to make sure that it's all in the same location, same hub. And I am in the Asia Pacific Southeast region, and you can be in any region, totally fine. Just make sure that wherever you are, it's consistent across the project, okay? It's good to keep in mind that sometimes, depending on the services, you might have to change the region. You may not necessarily select a region that is closest to you because some services may not be available in all regions. So just be mindful of that. In this case, I think we're all good, okay? So here, we're in the Asia Pacific Sydney region. You could be in the US East, all good. So let's start. Did you know that you can click these things and just paste it to make it easier? And then, so we're going to the Aurora service. And if you want, you can always start. And then it will be right up on the toolbar. So let's start with heading to Aurora and create that Aurora database. Let's go through the instructions. In the left navigation bar, select databases, okay? And let's create a database. All right. Now there's two options here. We're going to select standard create. There's easy create as well. But for this project, you can select standard create. And if you're wondering, hey, what's the difference between standard create and easy create, you can always ask. Make sure you press enter, and you will know exactly the difference of why it's recommended to use one over the other, and standard being the one that you can, it's more customizable, as opposed to easy create, which has an existing template, right? Okay, so in the configuration section, let's select Aurora MySQL compatible. And you get a little blurb about what that means on AWS as well. But basically, we want to select an engine type that powers our database. So it's kind of like, what is the system that it's going to operate on? Think of it like an operating system of a computer, but for databases, right? And so this is Aurora, and we are using Aurora because we want something, we use Aurora if we want something large scale. So it's better for things like, when performance and uptime are super critical for the efficiency of running your databases, and having those pieces, intact. And the cool thing about Aurora Databases is that it uses clusters, kind of like what we talked about in the quiz with the write cluster and the read cluster. So having different pieces to really make things more efficient and more effective. You can always ask for more explanation if that is something that you would like. You can also ask for things to be simplified. But yeah, fun fact, Coca-Cola uses Aurora to store their consumer data globally. How cool is that, right? And you can read all about it in the link. All right, so let's continue. For the engine version, we're going to select 3.05, compatible with 3.0. Oh, should update that. Let's select the one that's default for major version. And for templates, let's go with dev and test. So what are templates? They are preset settings that will help you quickly set up your database environment according to your needs. So basically, AWS kind of just manages a lot of things based on common use cases. So we're doing the dev and test template. Everything looks okay. Right. Okay, so why would you choose Aurora for your relational database? Aurora is a good choice when you have a large scale application that you need a relational database for. This is because Aurora uses clusters, which are great for more efficient practices and like separating different operations like the read and write, right? So let's take a quick screenshot of this piece that we've done up till here. Okay, and that way it is something really nice for us to look back into when we are going through our documentation. Awesome. I'm going to hit done. And let's keep going. So in the settings section, set these values. And again, nice little feature that we have where you can just copy and paste. For the username, let's go with admin. And for credential management, click self-managed. And for the password, I'm just going to keep it simple and copy the existing suggested password. And that's the master password. Ready? Okay. For the cluster storage configuration, let's go with burstable. What does that mean? Burstable includes T classes, and then we're selecting DB T3 medium. Oh, what does all this mean, right? So basically, this is where we're configuring the instance where we're setting our Aurora database to run on. And so all the things that we're selecting basically determine how powerful our system is, right? And so it's the more powerful options we select, the more expensive it's going to be. So it really depends on your application and how much data you're going to need, how quickly you want it to be retrieved, and things like that. So for our purposes, because it's all just for learning, we've selected all the smaller ones. But it's really good to know why and when you would need the different, the different kinds of configuration and the different instance types and what it means to have memory optimized classes versus burstable classes, right? Awesome. So this is where we're at now. And in the availability and durability section, let's leave it as is. And then for the connectivity, we have to decide between, do we connect it to EC2 or are we not going to connect it to EC2? What do you think? What do you think? What does it say? What do we need to do? Well, of course we're going to connect it to EC2 instance. That's the whole project. That's right. Let's go. So we want to connect it to our EC2 instance. And that means that we actually need an EC2 instance, don't we? Uh-oh. Well, maybe we have to pause it here and go and create an EC2 instance so that we can connect it. And why do we want an EC2 instance? EC2 instance basically acts like a virtual computer that we can use to run our web app on. So because in the next project we will be running and deploying a web app, in this project we're focusing on how to create that EC2 instance and create a Aurora database and then connect it together. So while we're in the process of creating the Aurora database, we've just realized that we actually need to create the EC2 instance first. So let's put that on hold. Let me open another tab and open up my AWS. Again, if you've got to run to the EC2, I have it on my toolbar up on the top. Good practice for those of you who are using AWS all the time. And so, yeah, let's let's select EC2 instance compute, and then before we go on and do all the stuff for creating EC2 instance, let's quickly answer the question, shall we? Why did I stop creating the Aurora database? I stopped creating my Aurora database because I need to create an EC2 instance so that I can connect the two, connect the Aurora database with the EC2 instance, right? Cool. Okay, I'm gonna hit done. And so yeah, let's move on over to step 3, where we're going to create an EC2 instance and host our web app, right? Okay. So what are we doing in this step? In this step, I will create an EC2 instance because I want to connect it with my Aurora database. Amazing. Nice. I love it when the box goes green and it says task completed. It's so fulfilling. All right, let's now open a new tab. I kind of did that, went a little ahead of myself, didn't I? All right, so open up a new tab and go to the AWS console. And in the upper right corner of the AWS console management console, click on EC2, select it, and I'm already there, right? Awesome. So now let's select the instance on the left-hand menu, and we'll select Launch Instances. Choose the following settings. Okay, all right, so let's give it a name. We've got a nice name already provided in the project, so it makes it very clear that this is the part of our next work project, and we're creating an EC2 instance for the web server. And under the application and OS images, we're going to select Amazon Linux. Okay, and then we're going to select 2023 kernel 6.1, sounds right. And as you can see, it is free tier eligible, so that's a good thing because we're not doing this for a corporate or a big company right now, but if you're actually doing it for work, you might need something bigger, right? This is just for our project purposes. Okay, so here we're going to select T2 micro, and for the key pair login, we're going to create a new pair. Okay, and when we create a new pair, we've got instructions on how to do that, but let's just take a quick pause and talk about what is the need for a key pair. We touched on it a little bit in the quiz, that basically a key pair in EC2 is basically giving keys so that you can access the EC2 instance. So when we have a key pair, and in our EC2 instance, which is a virtual machine, we can then give the pairs to our key, or we can use key pairs to allow that connection to happen, right? So we do want we do want a key pair, and we're going to use the name that's already there. We're creating it. Oh, wrong copy. This is the RSA, right? And we're going to use the private key file format. So we're going to use a PEM because we are actually going to use Open SSH, right? But it really depends on your need. And so I think everything looks right. Yes, okay, and I'm going to hit create. Awesome. So this is a download that has happened now. So it should have, something should have been saved in your files, in your downloads perhaps. So I created a new key pair for my EC2 instance because I want to securely connect to my EC2 instance with my Aurora database, right? Awesome. Amazing. Okay, so now that we have a new file that just was downloaded, it's all good. It's basically something that we're going to need later on to make sure that it's, you know, exactly where it is. And it is a PEM file, right? Okay, so let's go back to our EC2 creation. We'll scroll down, and in the network settings, everything looks okay. What we want to do here is allow SSH traffic from, and we want it from either our IP address, or you can also select anywhere. And I'm going to do my IP address. Okay. And yeah, everything looks all right. Allow HTTPS traffic from the internet is something that, oh, not HTTPS, HTTP traffic from the internet. So everything looks right over here, okay? We've got a screenshot to just correct it, to just make sure that everything looks right. Leave the default values for the remaining sections. Everything looks good. We've got a little summary over here on the right to make sure everything looks correct, okay? All right. So as a free tier, as part of the free tier, you get 750 hours per month of T2 Micro instance. And so it's good to know. You can always read up more about it. And other than that, yeah, it looks good, and I'm going to launch it. Yeah, amazing. Success. Look at that. Easy peasy. So in that summary panel, we got to confirm the number of instances, the machines that we're running, the software image, the virtual server type, firewall, like security groups, who has access to it, who doesn't, and then the storage options for the instance. Oops, I didn't take a screenshot of that. Oh no, how do we, what I'll do is I'll take a screenshot of this. How about that? Let's click on this, and we have all the instance summary here, and I think that would be a good capture of that, right? But if you have that summary panel, it's a nice little visually appealing little image for us to just make sure that everything is there intact. Okay, so again, second time I am getting ahead of myself. My apologies. Let's now look at the EC2 instances, and we can see it right here. Select the checkbox next to your EC2 instance, and in the details tab, I'm going to pull it up a little more higher. In the instance summary, you will see the public IPv4 address, right? And we also have the key pair here, which is assigned at launch. So basically what it is that we've got our IPv4 DNS as the location of our server, or since we're talking in terms of keys, it's like our house. And now we've got a key pair name that allows, that are like keys so that you can enter. And you want that security, but we also need to know the location to which that key pair has access. So it's good to know both, right? So be aware that this is where you find your DNS name, and this is where you have your key pair, okay? All right, so our instance is running, and let's answer this question really quick. When I created my EC2 instance, I took particular note of the public, what is it called? IPDNS name, IPv4 DNS address, and name. So we've got the address here, we've got the name here, and as well as the key pair name, so that I know what I have access to with the key pair. Okay, I'm going to be a little picky about my capitalizations and then hit done, right? So if you're a free user, make sure that you are super careful about your answers because you can't go edit. But if you're a pro, you can always edit and do any type of corrections that I, for example, am very likely to have. Okay, so now we've created our EC2 instance, and I just want to really quickly check in and see how everyone is doing. Any burning questions so far? Looks like everybody is having fun, either having dinner and following along, or giving tips and advice. Great. And we do go live pretty often, at least once a week. So do subscribe so that you're getting all the updates. Okay. All right. So let's now create the Aurora database. So we've got our EC2 instance ready to go, and we're going to now complete creating the Aurora database and then connect it. So in this step, I will complete creating my Aurora database because I now have created the EC2 instance, and I can now connect the database with the EC2 instance. Awesome. All right, let's go. Okay, so now let's go back to the tab where we had our Aurora database. So fun to say, Aurora. Can be a bit of a tongue twister. Sorry. We were up to the connectivity section, that's right. And we have an EC2 instance now, yeah. So let's quickly check if our EC2 instance shows up. Look at that, it's there. It's there. Isn't that exciting? I get excited by little things, but you know, it just means that we're doing everything right and everything's looking good and so validating. So it's such a feel-good moment when things go right. Okay, so we've selected our instance server, and again, I had to do a refresh to make sure it was there. And let's see what else we need to do. Oh, now I have the queue for my screenshot. Great, I don't want to miss it this time. So I'm going to take this piece here, the connectivity, and select that and upload it onto the project documentation. Evelyn, thank you. Aurora is the name of a Disney princess, Sleeping Beauty. Thank you for adding that. I had forgotten. Cool. Little princess vibes here for a database. For all, you think database and you think boring, and then as you mentioned, it's a little bit of magical princess vibes, right? Wow, so cool. Thanks for sharing that, Evelyn. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's scroll down and open the additional configuration. Where is our additional configuration? Aha, I see you. Oh, not this one. Let's look. Where is the additional configuration? Oh, this one, the big one. It's a big section. So here, let's add sample on here as the name and keep things simple. Let's do a quick review. Everything looks right here. Yep. And then we keep our default settings and we can go all the way down and select create database, right? Okay, look at this. Whoa, that looks a bit scary. Yes, but we got you. So this is the important part, and I think Evelyn mentioned it in the chat as well. As an advice for first-timers, be super, super diligent about deleting these things after the project. If you're not going to complete the project, the next project after this, just delete it, come back, create it again. Don't think of creating things again and again as a hassle, because it's just learning. I've done this so many times now, and every time I'm like always careful about every little configuration because it can change the cost, and we want things to be done and deleted every single time. So this is fine. 91 USD is definitely not something I want to pay for sure, but we're going to create it and we're going to delete it soon. Okay, so let's go. Always scary though, let me tell you. It never gets less scary. Yeah. Okay, so let's close any pop-ups that appear. And wow, look at that. We've got DB clusters. Yeah, so you might see one, you might see two, and it just depends on that situation. Either way, totally fine, but because it is cluster, there is multiple instances. And it just depends on how quickly it creates all the instances. But yeah, we have a Nextwork DB cluster with multiple instances, right? And we've got like a writer instance here. So what's up with that, right? And as we talked about a little bit very early on in the quiz, Aurora is really good for big amount of data, and it's good for big, large scale operations and applications. So it is good because it has the cluster system. So because of the database cluster that Aurora uses, it kind of separates the instances based on the operations. So each cluster consists of a primary instance where all the write operations occur, And then you might see an instance where all the reader instances occurs, like here. And yeah, it's just good to know that how Aurora works. And yeah, always feel free to simplify or ask more if you need more clarifications on any of these pieces. But it's really good information to just be aware of and learn and understand. Okay, so now let's just wait. It's still kind of creating, I think. Yeah. And select the DB identifier at the top of your database. Let's see. Oh, look at that. We've got multiples. We've got the writer and we've got the reader. Oof, good stuff. Nice. Admire it as much as you want or need to. But yeah. Yeah, we've got all the details in here for each cluster as well as the cluster instances. And yeah, we've got different endpoints, 2 different endpoints, one for the writer, one for the reader. And as we talked about, the writer database instance handles all the write operations, which is things that are going to write onto the database, right? That's like insert, update, or delete because you're removing something from it. So it's a writing operation. It's something that's an editing kind of a concept, right? The reading is where you're just more passive. You're selecting. You're selecting because you want to retrieve that data. So the select operations is an example of a read operation. So that's why we're separating the read and write, because Aurora databases are used for a huge amount of data and huge amount of requests, read and write requests. So we want to be able to do a lot of things, and it's just easier and more efficient when you have those 2 operations separated by instances. And so the endpoints basically are contact points of when data flows in and out. So depending on whether you're reading and writing, it's separating the 2 instances, and therefore you have 2 endpoints. Yeah, it's actually really interesting, databases. And sometimes it gets a little tricky, but always fun, always fun. So yeah, we've now created the database and it says it's available. It says it's still configuring, but everything looks right. Let's quickly answer the question. So Aurora Database uses clusters because it handles large scale applications and operations by using clusters. The database is the database instances are separated by the kinds of operations, that is read and write. Reader instance versus writer instance. And feel free to write as much as you would like so that you can always come back to it and remember. You can always add notes and ask questions, and if you have any examples that you want to add, and then include that in your answers. At the end of your documentation, you'd have like all the information in there in one place. So feel free to use that, especially if you are pro and you have unlimited, like 1,000 characters that you can add, right? And voila, we have completed this beautiful Aurora database. and it is connected to our EC2 instance, which we did right when we created it. So there you go. We've done it in exactly an hour, including and answering all the quizzes and all that good stuff. But like I stressed a million times, and like Evelyn is sharing from her own experience, that it can be very stressful if you don't delete it, and if you're not very meticulous about checking that. So let's delete the resources. Do we have time to do the next project in the series today? Unfortunately, no. I will be doing the next project, and I'll be going live next week. So do stay tuned. But feel free to go ahead to the next project, and link is in the bottom of the project. But today I am going to delete all the resources, and we're going to do that together. If you are feeling very confident, just make sure that you go through these checklists and delete these 3 important things that you've created today. But sometimes it's good to have that guide and make sure that we do everything. So let's first delete the database cluster. And we're going to do that by choosing the DB cluster here and actions. And we need to delete it. But I don't see delete. That is because I need to delete the cluster instance first because of the dependencies. So let me delete the cluster instance and say delete me. And I'll give it a second to get, might take a little time, but that's okay. Who's going to do the next project after this? I'm very curious. Do we have anyone who's going to continue on and do the next project and actually deploy the whole thing? In which case, you know, hang in there and don't delete everything, and just move on over to the next project. But if you are happy with your progress for the day and you're saying, okay, I'm going to call it a day, I'm going to call it a win, because now I know how to create a Aurora database, I know how to create my EC2 instance, I even know how to use my IAM admin, and I've done all these things, and I've done these little pieces together, and I'm all ready and pumped for the next project, which can be tricky. Evelyn, I'm so happy to hear that you're going to do the next one. And yeah, you have a few more database ones. How are you finding the series? Are you enjoying the database projects? Evelyn is a superstar, if I might add, for all of you who are not aware. Evelyn has been very active in the Nextwork community, which I highly invite all of you to check out. The link is in the description below. And share your wins with us. Share it when you complete the project. And share your documentation. Okay, so now, as you can see, because this is getting deleted, I have the option to delete the cluster. So I can now delete. Make sure you unselect the final snapshot. Super important, right? So we deselected, acknowledge that we're deleting it at our own risk. Confirm by typing delete me. Okay, everything looks right, and I'm going to say delete DB cluster. No, it's all good. We can always recreate everything, right? Awesome. So that is the database cluster done. And let's now delete the EC2 instance. Okay, so this is deleting. We can come back and check again. EC2 instance, where's our instance? Okay, let's take that and select actions on the top. Oh. Okay. All right, so we select the instance, actions, instance state. And we can stop the instance or terminate the instance. And we are going to select terminate. All right. Whew. Nice. Aw, Bibi, you just joined us for the first time at Nextwork. It is such a privilege to be a part of your learning journey. And I'm so glad that you enjoyed the experience, that you were willing to sign up. Did you complete? I would love to know how your experience was. Whoa. And y'all are connecting. I love it. I love, love, love it. Okay, so this looks like it is terminated. Woohoo. And I'm just going to go back and check the database and see and make sure that that's deleted as well. Oh, it's still deleting. It takes some time. It's all good. All good. Okay, let's go and check the, I'm just going to unselect this just because I'm going to be very careful about it. Let's go and check the key pair. Now, how do I find the key pair instance? Let's go to the EC2 instance and select key pairs on the left navigation. And oh, there's my key pair. Actions and delete. So just to confirm, we type in delete. Yes, AWS, I would like to delete my key pair, and it is gone. Okay, so we've deleted the key pair, we've deleted the EC2 instance. Let me just go back to the database and confirm that that's gone too. Still deleting. It's all good. All good. No drama there. What else? Yeah, and while that's getting, the deleting is happening, and y'all are connecting. I love seeing that. Let's go and get our documentation. So we've got all the steps broken down here to help you follow along with getting the documentation. And again, here's the Nextwork community. Do check us out. I can't wait to see all of your database Aurora documentation. In this project, we've done so much. We've actually created an IAM admin, or used it, meticulously, being very intentional about it. Created Aurora MySQL database. We launched and configured the EC2 instance, and we connected it, right? So cool. This is our end project, guys. Okay, got more questions to answer before it's done. It's not done until it's done. Okay. Amazon Aurora is a type of relational database, and it is useful because of the clusters, which allow for large scale applications. Nice. How did you use Aurora in this project today? I used Aurora in this project to connect with an EC2 instance. Nice. One thing I didn't expect in this project was how expensive it can be to run a database. Yeah, it can be scary. Like if you're actually doing this, it's a lot. This project took me 1 hour. Awesome. I chose to do this project today because I am learning AWS. Something that would make learning with Nextwork even better is doing more projects together. Nice. And with that, we are done. Amazing. So, let's do the quiz together, shall we? Aww, so good to see all the chat conversations. Evelyn, so nice to see your feedback. BP, really looking forward to seeing you more often in the lives, as well as the community. Join the community too and say hi. And Evelyn, I see a question from you on how to deploy the Lex chatbot onto a website. Oh, great. Awesome. Thanks, Natasha, for saying hi. Okay. All right, let's go through the quiz together, shall we? This is like the end of the project quiz. So we already got 5 on 5 first round, so this is going to be easy peasy, right? Why does an Aurora database use clusters with writer and reader instances? A, to separate read and write operations. B, to encrypt data at rest and in transit. C, to comply with data residency regulations. Or D, to reduce storage costs by distributing data across multiple instances. Nice. BP on a roll. Look at that. Let's go. Yeah, let's go with A, to separate read and write operations for better performance and redundancy. Amazing. Yes, that is correct. All right, let's go to the next question. Why is it recommended to use IAM users instead of the root users in AWS? A, to bypass AWS security measures for easier access. B, to avoid using the root user for everyday tasks, enhancing security. C, to grant full administrative access to multiple users. Or D, to reduce AWS costs by limiting user permissions. This is easy, right? Oh, BP for the save. Okay, we're gonna go with B, to avoid using the root user for everyday tasks, enhancing security. Amazing. Let's check. It's correct. Amazing. You guys are awesome. Question number 3. What is the primary purpose of creating a key pair when launching an EC2 instance? A, to create a virtual private cloud for EC2 instance. B, to select the operating system for the EC2 instance. C, did I say C or B? A, B, C, to securely log in to your EC2 instance. Or D, to configure network settings for the EC2 instance. Ooh, a lot of EC2s in the answers. Okay, why do we need key pairs again? Is it to create a virtual a VPC? No. Is it to select the operating system for the EC2? I don't think so. Is it to configure network settings for the EC2? C, that's right. Way to go, BP. Let's go. EC2 instance can be logged in using key pairs. Okay, question number 4. Why is an EC2 instance needed when creating an Aurora database for a web application? Is it A, to host a web application server, B, to execute serverless functions, C, to manage relational databases, or D, to store static website content? Okay, I'm gonna eliminate D and C. C because that's what we need Aurora database for, not necessarily why we need EC2 instance for. And we're not using static website content. So why do we need an EC2 instance when creating an Aurora database for a web application? We want it to host a web application server, right? That's what the EC2 instance does. So EC2 instances provide virtual computing resources, right? It kind of acts like that system for our database to run on when we have that web application. And maybe this question is a little tricky because we haven't actually done the web application, which is why you need to stay tuned, and we'll do the next project together, or you can also do it on your own time. Check it out in the description. And let's do the last question. Are you ready? I'm super pumped. Okay, in what scenario is AWS Aurora a good choice for a relational database? Dun, dun, dun. All right. A, when you have data that is infrequently accessed. We've seen this answer in the pre-project quiz. B, when you need a large-scale database with peak performance and high uptime. C, when you are just starting to learn about databases. Or D, when you need a simple database for a small personal project. Well, if you need it for a simple, small personal project, you're going to have to delete it every time. So definitely not D. We used it to learn today, but that's not what we're going to actually have to use it for. And we know that Coca-Cola uses Aurora, and they definitely have frequently accessed data. So yeah, let's go with B. BP and Evelyn for the win. Let's go. Yay! That's correct too, but you know what that means? That means that we got 5 on 5 masters of AWS, Aurora, and EC2 instance, and all that good stuff. Amazing. So in the next project, we're going to actually connect a web app with the Aurora database. So that's where we'll be creating the Aurora database, because now we've deleted everything. We'll create the Aurora database, we'll set up the EC2 instance, and then we're going to have that web app which is going to connect and retrieve all that data, and it's going to be so beautiful. So I can't wait for you to get into that project. And if you're ready, go on right over and get into it. Otherwise, let's call it done. I have tasks left that I haven't completed yet. So one way is to do Control F and search, but we need to make sure that all the tasks are done. And look at that. I have a task that I didn't complete. So even though I put it in, I didn't hit done. And it's nice to have that extra done so that you can just like go and confirm and make sure everything looks right, because if you're using the free account, you won't be able to edit. I'm just going to confirm that everything looks right. Okay. And let's go down and see if we have that mission accomplished. Oh, look at that. It is so clickable. Shall we? I'm going to widen this up now. Let's click. and we get to download the documentation. Again, if you are a pro user, you can choose different colors. So I'm gonna go with the fun option today. You can also add your LinkedIn or website, whatever you have. Save it to your portfolio and you will see it in your next work portfolio. So when you save it, and it takes a little bit of time because it generates that whole documentation, and you can put it in your portfolio, and you can then send your portfolio link to anyone. Put it in your LinkedIn. That's my little portfolio, and I can send this link for anyone to check out. Or you've got this little hidden piece that you can just slide over. Or you can go through the whole thing and download it at the end. So let's say view documentation. We'll download it as a PDF so that we can put it up on social media. You can put it on LinkedIn, you can put it on X, Facebook, Instagram, and we've got little, oh, it's saved, awesome. And I'm gonna go to my LinkedIn, and everything is nicely written for me. If I want to post it just as, that's fine too. One little thing that you could make sure when you're posting it is just make sure that it is selected so that we get to know. And when you do, all of us will come and cheer you on, and the whole Nextwork community will get to know. So make sure that you have that little piece done. And if you want to add your PDF to it, you can always just add a document. And let's see if I can find my document. Look at that. Upload it, add your own title to it, or what should I put? Connect or Aurora. I'm just going to put Aurora. My Aurora project. And I'm going to hit done, and voila. And then you just post it and it'll be good to go. You can even schedule it for later. Did you know that? But yeah, that's all, folks. And we've completed the entire project together. Check out all the other features and fun stuff that you can do on Nextwork. If you have any questions, you can always find me in the Nextwork community. So glad that you all joined live. And if you're not watching live, do stay tuned and follow along for all the Nextwork projects that we do. And you'll find all the videos for every project and demonstrations, step-by-step guidance all the way through. Thank you all for tuning in, and I can't wait to see you all next time. Take care. Bye.